Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week with Pastor Sunday. Now, to this week, I'll be talking to you about your philosophy towards people. What is your philosophy about people? Do you have any guiding principles that guide you and your attitude towards other people around you? You know, people are one thing you cannot do without in life. People are one thing you cannot avoid. You will never be able to avoid people. You will always have something to do with people. There is a story that I heard recently when one great preacher, man of God, was being asked, "What is your greatest disappointment in life?" And what he said is that his greatest disappointment in life, this was a great man, maybe it was Billy Graham or something, and he said, "My greatest disappointment in life is people." Then they asked him another question and said, "But what was your greatest blessing in life?" He thought about it and he said, "You know what? My greatest blessing in life is people." People. Unbelievable. People are going to be the source of your greatest joy, and people are going to be the source of your greatest sorrow. That is life. Now, people, that is one thing you cannot afford to do without in life. We all have to have something to do with people. That is why everybody must define for themselves what is going to be their attitude, their response, and their philosophy about people. So I'm asking you that question this week, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to try to help you to give you some guidelines on how to come about the right principles about people this week. So what is your philosophy about people? Have you thought about it? Think about it. What's your philosophy about people? God bless. Hello, everybody. Good day, and welcome to another week that we are going to be talking today. And this whole week, I'm talking about your philosophy. What is your philosophy about people? What is your philosophy towards people? What do you think about people? You know, one time I was watching a TV program here in Ukraine, and a journalist was going about the streets and asking questions from just regular people in the streets. And the question was relating to women's attitude to men. So this lady was taking interviews from other women and asking them, "What do you think about men?" And they, all kind of things I began to hear about men. But mainly, people think, most ladies are thinking, men are like dogs. Men are like dogs. They don't have values, they don't have character, they are just like dogs. I hate them. So that is somebody's philosophy about life. That is someone's philosophy about men. So if that is the attitude you have towards all men, that men are like dogs, that's your philosophy. And that's how you are going to behave towards them. On the other hand, there are some men who think that women are nothing. That is their attitude, that is their philosophy about women. Women are supposed to be slaves to men. There's some people who believe that. If you go to some countries in the world, women are being treated as if they are nobody. Women are being locked up in the houses. They are being covered up from head to toe. They don't have the honor and the dignity of a human. So, what is your philosophy? What are your expectations from people? What are the obligations you have towards people? What do you think? How do you relate to people? From tomorrow, I'll begin to give us some hints and some gist that will help us to create the right mindset and the right philosophy towards people. God bless. Hello, everybody. First of all, we are talking this week about your philosophy towards people. What are your philosophy? What is your philosophy towards people? Well, one of the things you need to know while you are thinking about people and when you are, when you are building up your attitude towards people, one of the things you must know is that people are inevitable in our lives. Humans, people are a necessity that you must deal with. Without people, you won't be born. You won't be here. Without a man and a woman, you won't be here. And without a man and a woman, you won't be here for long. Without people, you won't be here for long. Have you tried to live? Have you really gotten frustrated at your friends and family one time and decided to just leave it all by yourself? Have you tried to live without people before? Have you ever locked yourself in a four-wall room or apartment and just to be there all by yourself? Never hear people, never see people, never look at people, just all by yourself and the walls and the bricks and the walls. How did you make you feel? That brings death. That brings frustration. That brings anger. That reduces you to an animal existence. So, men are a blessing to humanity. Men are supposed to be a blessing to each other. No matter how complex things are, no matter how different people are. I know people are different. Oh, I know some people are so good, while some people are extremely bad. But generally, we must have a general concept about people. And number one concept that I want you to have about people is that people generally are a blessing. People are a blessing to you, and you as a person are supposed to be a blessing to other people. People are created to be a blessing to each other. That's the number one philosophy. When you look at anybody, when you go to the market, or you go to the street, or you go to the supermarket and see anybody, think about that person as if this person is a blessing. It's a blessing to somebody. It's a blessing to me, and I want to be a blessing to them back. God bless. Hello, everybody. We keep on talking this week about your philosophy, about our philosophy towards people. What is your philosophy towards people? Yesterday, I spoke about the fact that the number one thing you must understand to building your philosophy and your attitude towards people is the fact that people are a blessing. God created men and women to be a blessing to each other. So, no matter who the person is, that person is a blessing to somebody. Of course, I know that some people are a catastrophe to people around them. But they were not created to be that way. They were created to be a blessing. So, number two philosophy that I want to talk about today, and the principle that should be behind your philosophy, is the fact that men are made in the image of God. Men and women are made in the image of God. People are God's image. People are God's carriers. Yeah, people become bad or people grow to be horrible, but initially, everybody was created in God's image. So when you see anybody in your work that is doing at your work or in the street that is doing some horrible stuff, let's take drug addicts or alcoholics. They could do some horrible stuff because I have a lot of drug addicts in our church and that I pastor, and I know what drug addicts could do. So let's say somebody is a drug addict. If you look at him and you put a label upon him that this is a drug addict, there's nothing good that could come out of him, he's just a bad fellow, that's it. You will never really get to discover who that person is. I'm sorry. But if you have the right philosophy and know that that drug addict is carrying somewhere in himself the image of God, then you have the faith and the trust to want to walk with them. So when you begin to remove all the dirt that Satan has put over him, you will discover a diamond inside of him. The best, the God part of man is always good. Behind every rapist, behind every murderer, sadist, behind every killer, anybody, the most horrible people you can imagine, is the image of God inside of them. If you could remove all the dirt and all the junks, you will find in them the good and the image, the excellent image of God, where that was originally placed in them. So let's begin to receive people and see them as God's image first of all. That way we could derive the best out of them. God bless. Hello everybody, welcome to another day when we are talking about this whole week. We are talking about what your philosophy or our philosophy towards people. So the question is, what is your philosophy about people or towards people? Yesterday I spoke about the fact that people are God's image. People are made, everybody, no matter how horrible it looks, everybody is made in God's image. So no matter how terrible they are right now, if you will have that philosophy and begin to treat them like the creation of God and begin to clean them up and look for the best part of them, you will discover the gold. You will discover the diamond. You will discover that nature, that good part that God had originally planted in every person. So today, I'm going to give you another principle that will affect you, that will help you to build a right perspective and a right understanding about people, a right philosophy about people. Now, the principle I'm talking about today is the fact that the Bible says that man is the crown of all God's creation. Man or people is the crown of God's creation. Man is the crown of it. So all God's creation was made good. All God's creation is good, but people is in another class of his own. People are in another class. People are not just made in God's image. People are not just made in God's likeness, but people are made to be the crown of God's nature, of God's creation. What does that mean? That means we value people more than all of other creation. That means we don't love cats and dogs more than people. Oh yeah, we like and love dogs. Some people like pets. Some people like animals. But some people begin to fight for animals more than they fight for people. Some people will kill people. Other people, why they will not touch a cat? They will not kill a dog. But they will kill people with ease. That is a wrong philosophy about life. If you go to some countries, dogs and cows are walking about the streets untouched. Nobody dare touch a cow. But human beings on that same street are lying down, dying of hunger. Animals, dogs and cows are being fed, but human beings are not being fed. But cows and dogs and cats are not the crown of God's creation. People are the crown of God's creation. That should be our philosophy about people. God bless. Hello, everybody. Well, welcome to this week. This week we've been talking about our philosophy towards people. What is your philosophy towards men, towards people around you? What do you think about people? How do you relate to people? How do you expect people to relate to you? That's what we've been talking about today, this week. And today, I want to give you another principle that could help fashion and guide your philosophy towards people. I like what Jesus, the epistles says in the Bible. Talks about do not owe anybody anything. Don't be in debt to anybody. Don't owe anything to anybody. Except for a feeling of mutual love. So, we are not supposed to owe anybody anything, but for love. Love is a demand and an obligation from everybody to another man. Every man has an obligation to love and express love to other people. Even when other people are not reciprocal in their attitude of love towards you, when other people don't give you love back, or when people don't give you what you thought you deserve to have from them, yet, as a man, there is one obligation you have towards other men. It doesn't matter what you feel. You feel like liking them, or you feel like hating them, or you like what they do, or you don't like what they do. One obligation that you have before God and man and towards all men is to love them. Is to love them. Is to love them. Is to love them. That is why the greatest of all commandments is loving God. But really, that as another part, say there is no love for God if there is no love for man. So he says, love God with all your hearts and all your being, and love your neighbor as much. So you don't see the God, so you cannot really know how much you love him. The only way you can know if you love God or not is how you love people. It is our only obligation on earth to love men. That should become part of our philosophy towards men. God bless. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this last day of this week when we are talking about our philosophy towards men. So, our attitude and how we relate to other people, our expectations from people, our obligations towards people is all determined by our philosophy towards them. So, what is your philosophy towards other men or towards other people? Well, the last principle that I think I should give you this week about that could help shape your philosophy towards people is the fact that you must know that all men are not perfect. All people are not perfect. If you are going to be thinking of people as being perfect, or if you are going to expect too much from people, you know what? You are going to be disappointed. If you are going to look up to Pastor Sunday and say, wow, this guy is perfect. This guy is perfect. One day, you are going to hear some things that's going to make you to feel, wow, this guy is not perfect after all. Don't expect perfection from men. We all have our frailties. We all have our failures. But our attitude towards people should be like this. You know what people think? What people normally do? Our normal attitude towards other men and towards ourselves is normally this. When I do something wrong, well, I'm a lawyer for myself. But when somebody else does something wrong, then I become the prosecutor and the judge. No. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We are all supposed to be lawyers to other people, not justifying their faults and their evil deeds, but giving people benefit of a doubt. Let me say it in another way. When we make mistakes, we want people to have mercy on us. When we make mistakes, we demand for mercy. But when other people make mistakes, or other people fail, we normally demand for justice. Justice. Why didn't you demand justice towards yourself? Well, when we know that people are not perfect, we should demand for mercy and grace for all men, just like we demand for ourselves. God bless.